I'm Lisa Stone, and you are listening to Season 8 of Parenting Aces. Welcome to Season 8 of the Parenting Aces Podcast. I'm your host, Lisa Stone, and this episode comes to you live from U.S. Open Arthur Ashe Kids Day at the Billie Jean King National Tennis Center in New York. I had the opportunity to sit down with Air Force Academy men's coach Dan Oosterhous and his 2018-2019 team captain, Isaac Perez, who has just been named the ITA Sportsmanship and Leadership Award winner for Division I and is being honored tonight alongside other college players who are receiving similar awards from the ITA. I was thrilled when Dan reached out to me and asked me if I'd be interested in chatting with Isaac. Of course, my answer was yes, and I was just so impressed by this young man, as I'm sure you will be too after you hear my interview with him. I am back in Atlanta now after spending the weekend at the WTCA conference where I had the opportunity to hear some amazing speakers as well as to host a panel of D1, D2, D3, and NAIA coaches talking about recruiting and playing tennis at their universities and colleges. And I will have video and audio, both, I think, if I can get it downloaded from several of the presentations that will be available to those of you who are our ParentingAces.com premium members and our Parenting Aces Patreon patrons for the podcast. So if you haven't become a member or a patron yet, you can do so by clicking on the links on ParentingAces.com, and I hope you will consider doing that at least so you can see and hear some of these amazing presentations. In the meantime, sit back, relax, and enjoy my podcast with Isaac and Coach Oosterhous, and I will be back in New York covering the U.S. Open Juniors September 3rd through 8th, so I hope to see you all there. Hi, I am with Isaac Perez, who has won the Arthur Ashe Leadership and Sportsmanship Award for the ITA Division I Men for the 2018-2019 season, and we are sitting in the media garden outside Arthur Ashe Stadium here at the U.S. Open. Isaac, you play in the Air Force Academy. Your coach, Dan Oosterhous, is here with us. You are being presented with this award. First of all, I want you to tell us a little bit about your recruiting process and how you wound up at the Air Force Academy.
So essentially, my sister, she played college tennis, and so that's kind of how I got exposed to the opportunity. I went to the academies along with other schools, and definitely Navy and Air Force were kind of the front runners when I was looking,
Why?
I would say just because my mom and dad were Army. Mom was Air Force, dad was Army, and they were enlisted. So they spoke about the military kind of as an opportunity, and then those two came out as the front runners just because of location and other factors.
Where did you grow up?
I grew up in Florida for 7 years and then San Antonio, Texas for the next 10, 11 years.
And when you first started your recruiting process, was it only the academies or were you looking at other more traditional college tennis opportunities as well?
I think the ones I seriously considered were probably the academies across the board. And then Trinity University, it's a D3 in San Antonio. And then that was pretty much it. Those were the serious considerations and that I could see myself at. So I spoke to other schools too, but I kind of want to shorten down the decision before.
And what year are you going into now?
I graduated this past year. Yeah.
You just graduated. Awesome. Okay. And so you were all 4 years at the academy?
That's right.
Okay. And you get this award from the ITA. What do you think caused them to choose you to get this award this year?
Honestly, I suppose someone else asked a similar question. I honestly just tell them I don't know. I mean, obviously I know I did certain things in my career, but I I was captain of the team. I was in charge of sports camps at the academy. It's like basically like what other universities do when they have kids come out for their sports. And just other different jobs, and then obviously playing tennis. So I don't know why I got the award. I never got an official explanation as to why. But I would just say maybe just the experiences that people had with me, both teammates and, the public, maybe that's why I got it. So.
Coach Dan Oosterhous, maybe you can give us a little more insight as to why he got this award.
Yeah, absolutely. I nominated Isaac because of just what a tremendous leader he is. Not only is he our team captain, but he's, in my 10 years of coaching, was the best team player I've ever had and would do anything for the team. And so,
so elaborate on what you mean by best team player.
Right.
What is that?
To me, that means he sacrifices his ego for the better of the team. Whatever I said as far as lineup positions or practice or who he's playing doubles with, Isaac never complained. He wanted to know why, which I understand that, and I wanted to know why, but he understood that when coaches have an opinion, we make a decision, he's all for it, and because he knows that's what's best for the team. And so Isaac always put the team first. And so those are the things that I talked about with the ITA, but in addition to that, just the other stuff that he did as a cadet leader, he took positions within our school that were way above and beyond team captain. We have 4,000 students, and he was in charge of a lot of those during his senior year, and he took on leadership roles that he didn't have to. And so he really prepared himself to be an officer in the Air Force, and I really wanted to let people know all the stuff that he did. In addition to just playing tennis, he's just an amazing person.
And so when you were recruiting Isaac, did you see those things in him as a recruit, or are these things that you have seen develop over his 4 years, or a combination?
His mom brought him out to our camp when he was a junior in high school, and that's where I first saw him. I think he'd written me a letter, but, I did have some interaction with his parents, so I knew, their background, and I knew how disciplined and, just kind of focused their family was, having a kid that's going to be, a really hard worker, and I knew that about him at first, but you really don't get to see that until they're in the mix on the team, and they're struggling with practice and, school and everything that a college athlete does. So those things come out once they get on the team, and he was just exceptional.
He's graduated.
Right.
I'm assuming that left a hole for you as a coach. How do you then fill that? What are you looking for in the next young player that's going to come in?
Well, our whole team is here today because of Isaac, and I want my new freshmen who don't know Isaac they got to meet with him today. We did the Arthur Ashe Kids day court for Mountain Day for 4 hours, and the freshmen got to meet with him. And so, that's the kind of stuff that I want our guys to see. Our recruits, they know that Isaac is, the top leadership and sportsmanship winner. We've been, publicizing this event because we want people to know these are what the guys on our team do. I think all of our guys, have these qualities, and that's really what we're looking for.
And so, Isaac, I want to just ask you again, now that you've graduated, how are you going to use your college tennis experience as you move into, quote, the real world?
I guess I've already encountered that. I'm a part of, essentially, long story short, this super experimental process that the Air Force is going through with pilots. And so they kind of told us from the beginning, there's people that have washed out, following out of the program. So they're saying, hey, it's going to be tough. We're going to take the traditional model of like a year and make it in 6 months. And so those ups and downs that I experienced through my career, I definitely will help and have helped so far, like just being exposed to that experiment of how the Air Force makes pilots.
And on the tennis court, while you were at the academy, what was your experience like? Where did you play in the lineup? What was your record?
Yeah,
How did it change over your 4 years?
So I actually remember a fact coach said at the banquet. He was like, I played 6-1 and 3-1 doubles.
So the whole gamut.
Yeah, the whole gamut. So
okay.
Throughout my 4 years. And so some of them, I spent some time mostly in one position, maybe a little bit another, constantly moving. So that's essentially how my career was. So I think just those ups and downs, perception is reality, so I always expected the best from myself. So wherever I was, regardless of the lineup, I was like, I'm going to do my best at 6, or I'm going to do my best at 1, 3, 1, and wherever I'm in the middle. So that's just how I treat it.
And what kind of record did you have?
The record total, I think, was like 40 wins. I don't want to say the losses.
You don't have to.
Yeah.
You don't have
No,
to.
honestly, I don't know. Yeah.
You're greater than 50%.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Wonderful.
So I think it was like 40 wins, and maybe some 50 win and doubles. I'm not sure. So.
Let me ask you about your junior tennis. What did you bring from your junior tennis experience into your Air Force Academy tennis experience? Other than the obvious tennis skill.
So I haven't looked forward.
What plane do you want?
I want the new F-35 Lightning. So
I know nothing about the military or jets,
That's all right.
but my husband's a big junkie, so
yeah, it's the new toy that the Air Force has. So
the toy. How many millions of dollars does that toy cost?
I don't know. I try to just learn. I try to learn and try to fly. But I would just say, yeah, I haven't looked too far into the future, knowing that I just need to get through that right now. But in the future, hopefully, to keep flying and then just have a positive impact as much as I can on the people around me in the Air Force.
Great. Coach, I want to ask you, so now that he is moving on and you have a new team coming in this fall, how do you use your alums to help train and inspire and motivate your team moving forward?
You know, I've been a part of the Air Force Academy 10 years as a coach, 4 years as a player, and my coach, Rich Gugat, coached for 35 years at the Academy. So there's a lot of history and a lot of legends that have played for us. And so we try to bring, kind of that history into our practices. We talk about it every once in a while. We'll bring up a story of guys that I played with or guys that Coach Gugat played with. Coach Gugat was on the tennis team with Arthur Ashe at UCLA.
Wow.
And so,
Go Bruins.
That's right. He actually also played basketball for John Wooden, Coach Gugat did. So there's a lot of things that there's, great history in our program. And so we do try to bring in some of those folks that had some really amazing, careers, whether in the Air Force or on the tennis court, and talk about our guys. And that's something I want people to know. There's a, legacy with our team.
Yeah. And Isaac, did you know any of that legacy when you came in, or is this all kind of information that you learned over your time there?
No, kind of like you said. I mean, it's just little snippets here and there. It's not like a water hose of legacy all in one practice. But, I mean, over the course of 4 years, you just hear little stories, past and present, and hopefully future. So, I mean, it motivates us all. I mean, when I hear about even the past and now the present, we have guys flying. It's like, that can be me. I know that guy, So whether you pull from those 3 areas, I think it all motivates us.
Absolutely. Coach, I want to ask you about how Isaac receiving this award impacts your recruiting efforts. Do you utilize this as a recruiting tool for the young men that you're talking to that are considering coming to you?
Yeah, we hope to. We also talk to the parents a lot. And one thing we want to make sure that parents know about our program is that we really care about these young men as individuals, and not just while they're on our team, but in their careers after. And so we're raising leaders of character, not just teaching them how to play tennis. So it's something that's really important to our program, is that Isaac's getting recognized for this, and I want to be able to use it with our future recruits when we talk to their parents about this is what our program can produce.
Yeah. And I mean, coming to a military academy is a choice that is very different than going to just a traditional college tennis program. What are the, characteristics that you look for when somebody contacts you and says, hey, I'm thinking that this might be the path I want to take?
The academy is really difficult. All 3 service academies, Army, Navy, and Air Force, with what the cadets go through every day. They get up really early in the morning and they're doing things that aren't related to tennis. If they're freshmen, they're doing military training. If they're upperclassmen, they're leading that training. And so they're always performing. And whether it's, military training in the morning, or they go to 4 hours of class, room instruction right before lunch, and then we don't see them until about 2 in the afternoon. They're busy. And so, my freshmen come to practice, they've already flown an airplane that day.
Wow.
Or they've done boxing class, or they've, done wrestling class. And so they're always maxed out. And so I try to get the most out of them in the 2 hours we have them. So what I look for in recruits is someone that has a pretty tough schedule already and is handling that well.
And we'll catch you next time on Parenting Aces.
I'm Lisa Stone, and you've been listening to the Parenting Aces podcast. For tennis parents, by a tennis parent. If you like what you've heard, I hope you'll share the podcast with your tennis community. For all the information you need to navigate the junior and college tennis journey, be sure to check out ParentingAces.com.